interview with Albert Capellas. He was an ex-coordinator of FC Barcelona. He's now the under-21 Denmark coach. And he mentioned that from the ages of 8 to 14, they focus on education, or over here in the US, we call it player development. And from the ages of 15 to 18, they focus on winning. If this is true over there where you coach, can you give us like an intimate glance of what that looks like from 8 to 14?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily the same.
Okay.
I would say that in our younger age groups,
Yeah.
and they start with us probably around 8, 9 years of age.
Okay.
It is all about development, but it's
Yeah.
all about what we call brilliant basics.
Okay.
So we want them to master the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I spent some time watching other coaches around Europe, Italy, Spain,
Yeah.
Holland, and in my opinion, and it is my opinion, the best coaches coach footballers and not football at young ages, but we never stop developing. So we coach footballers and give them the tools that they need, not tactics, not systems, that sort of thing. And we don't pigeonhole players in a position.
Wow. So the best coaches coach footballers, not football.
Yeah.
That's very powerful right there. It's very big difference. Yeah. Okay.
It's a mixture of mine, that the coaches that work for me,
yeah.
I would check them at times and say, are you coaching football here, or are you coaching footballers? Just to bring them back to, it's about the player, not about a system, not about a tactic, and definitely not about them as a coach.
Very interesting. So when you say they're coaching footballers, are they teaching them the psychological and social side, which is what this is all going to be about? Or is it more on, like, you didn't say system, is it more about developing their personality, their characteristics, how to win, how to dominate? Or do I have it?
No, probably as they get older, that becomes more important. But again, we don't believe that winning is a dirty word in football with youth development. We gear up to win every game. I mean, that we're not going to win every game.
Yeah.
And so the best learning curves are from the games that you don't win. If a game's easy or you get lucky and you win, sometimes that's difficult to rein players in and explain, that wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
So it is a mindset. Mm-hmm. It is our values and beliefs. We work in the social corner and the psychology corner a lot, but mainly disguised. So it's not done tonight. We're going to, it's done within the sessions. Wow. Like you can get a physical outcome. We can say multi-ball. The ball can't go dead. We all have to be in your opponent's half. Something that you'll get a physical outcome from. Yeah. We'll do the same on the psychological side and definitely on the social side as well.
Interesting. Okay, so now moving into the psychological side, confidence, that's a huge part of it. It can be your greatest asset or your biggest weakness as a player in life, relationships, work, you name it. If I'm a young player, how can I develop true self-confidence without becoming too arrogant, but still being humble in the process if I don't have that much parental support around me?
It's a difficult question to answer in a very short space of time.
Yeah.
Basically, again, we believe that confidence comes from within and it comes from your ability. Mm-hmm. So I can give you examples of young players that weren't psychologically what you would call strong, didn't have parental support, put them in front of a group of coaches and ask them a question about geography or something at school, and they go bright red and they crumble. Ask them to demonstrate their favourite 3 tricks, they come alive. Wow. So it comes from that ability to identify what makes a player tick and give him the confidence in your environment to be an individual. So that's it in a nutshell, but it is a very big subject, psychology.
It is a big subject. So how, I mean, over there in Watford, how do you guys, is there a specific strategy that you guys use, or do you just, over time, they start getting experience, they start working, committing to the game, and then they start to become confident?
We feed it in all the way through. So we've
Okay.
got a psychologist that works at the academy,
Okay.
and half of his time he'll spend with players, but half of his time he'll spend with coaches, because my background is coaching. I'm not an academic. I'm doing a degree course at my age now, but
Okay.
that's not my background. But I did what I call the bolt-ons. I took a diploma in psychology for football, so I understand the power of it, and I've used it throughout my own life, as my coaching life, maybe from 30 onwards. Once I realised, the power of it, so I understand that coaches need to cascade that message down, but they need to understand what they're doing, but more to the point, why they're doing it. So, like I say, we talk in England about a lot of a four-corner module: technical, tactical, physical, mental, and social. I don't want a coach that comes out and says, I'm going to work in the psychological corner tonight, and tell his group that. I want there to be a psychological outcome, or a desired outcome, or a test for the players that will show us who has got that side of their game. And so therefore, I think it's really important that the coaches understand it's not about a certificate, it's about knowledge and understanding. And again, some of the best coaches that I've seen working are magnificent at doing that without anybody even realizing.
Wow, it's very interesting. So I guess next question is, part of confidence is commitment. Like, I like to think of confidence like a bank account. Every time you commit to something and you say you're going to do something and you get it done, it's almost like you're adding $1 into the bank account, right? You're adding confidence bit by bit. But when you break that commitment with yourself, you take $1. And what happens when you start breaking commitments? Well, then that's how you lose self-esteem, self-worth. And that's what actually, in my opinion, from what I've seen, you are afraid to show up in games. You hide. And then my question is, if I'm a young player and I feel super confident one day, but the next day I lack confidence, do you think that's where it comes from?
From commitment?
Yes.
No.
No?
No. I think commitment is, and again, of many years in the business,
Yeah.
I've seen players that have succeeded despite a lack of confidence or a lack of commitment in early days.
Wow.
I've seen players that have made it with 100% total commitment, but equally I've seen players that don't make it, which are a coach's dream. They totally commit, they totally want to do it, they just aren't good enough. So I think I don't necessarily link confidence and commitment together. I think commitment is something, sometimes an example is a player gets let go. So he's technically, tactically very good, physically doesn't commit. This is just an example. So you might have that conversation with him. I think, you don't show me that you want to be here. I know you've got skill, I know you can apply it, but you don't show me you want to be, you don't want to work. Now, because of that, they go away and someone else benefits, where they go, last chance saloon, I'm going to have to commit here and I'm going to have to work hard. And that sometimes happens. But I'm afraid that the lower leagues or the non-leagues are scattered with players that are technically and tactically very good, but and maybe even physically very good. But the mental side of their game is what lets them down. I've got a presentation I do to our boys, and it talks about the success bus. So if you can imagine, to get on this bus, you've got to be technically very good. You've got to have brilliant basics.
Yeah.
And then you get the next seat is you've got to have a tactical awareness and be willing to try other things. And then the next seat is the physical side of the game. You have to commit, there's your word, you have to commit to getting fit, to staying fit, doing the right things. Don't talk about sacrifices. It's a choice.
Mm.
And then socially, it's a team game. You need to get on with everybody, even
Yeah.
if it's only during the game. Now, all those things get you a seat on the bus, but the driver is the mental skills.
Wow.
The mental skills will decide how far you go in this business. Because I've seen people crumble through not having that. Their confidence goes, they choke. So someone can only choke if they're very talented. Like a golfer, is quite common. So that's something that we try to outline to the players, that they might be the best at this or they might be the best at that. But the one thing that's going to see how far they go, the driver, will be psychological, or we just prefer to call it mental skills.
That's very powerful, the soccer bus. So it's like the mental side, like you can have all the seats, you can have the technical, the tactical, but if you don't have a great driver, then you're not going to go very far.
Absolutely. And we talk about us being the conductor on the bus.
Yeah.
We keep order, we create the right environment, we make sure there's not too much noise that someone interferes with someone else's learning. We look at the person that needs to be encouraged. And again, this is where I was talking about doing it subliminally. If I see in a group, a quick example, if I see in a group someone that's scored their own goal, and in the break in that game, he's hiding. I can see him hiding. He doesn't want that mentioned. He doesn't want his teammates to say anything. And I will actually go, where's so-and-so? What a fantastic goal. When you go home today, tell your mum you scored a great goal. Don't tell her what side it was for, but just tell her it was a goal. And exactly the reaction I'm looking for is what you did. They now smile. It's not the end of the world. He didn't go out there intending to. So I don't sit him down and talk about, well, psychologically, this is what I just bring them back into the group in one way or another,
Very interesting. So you almost like cure it with heat. So you tell them it's not a big deal. It's almost like, tell your mother you scored a goal. So you can leave that pressure and be like, oh crap, even though I scored in my own goal, we're down 2-3 nil, we still have a chance. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. And sometimes, to make yourself human to them and to have people smile, you want them to smile. I might say something like, you call that an own goal? You should have seen the one I scored in '88 or whatever. Good job you're not old enough to have seen me play. You'd have seen a better own goal than that. It was spectacular. You want it to be the right environment. It's not the end of the world. If you lose a game, it's not the end of the world. Use the hurt, use the anxiety that can destroy you to actually push you on for the next game.
Okay. Moving on to another part of the psychological is communication, which it's massively undervalued. Like from your 20 years of coaching experience, why do you believe, now this can come down to the confidence or their upbringing, why do you believe some players are more comfortable than others when leading, encouraging, and some are extremely more coachable than others, and yet some struggle with taking advice and implementing that? Where do you think that comes from?
First of all, I've got to correct you. I've been coaching 34 years.
34? Yeah, I didn't change that. 34. You did. 34 years. My apologies.
20 years. They're just beginners. 20 years.
Yeah.
Right. Seriously, now communication is underestimated. It is something that, as an ex-club captain, as a player that wasn't the most skillful, but brought to the game in my power, my enthusiasm, my desire, I could communicate that, and I was comfortable ripping someone that didn't work hard, and I don't care how big they were. I'm 5'6", by the way. I didn't care about that. It was team, but I also knew when to put my arm around someone. Now that's one sort of communication. The other communication is information. And so, again, we try to get our players to learn what we call ball and a message. We actually, in our drills and our practices, one, we try and make it as realistic as possible all the time. But two, we try and make it that a good pass can be a great pass if you give a message with it. Information, we work off a common language. So if I'm on the touchline or a coach is on the touchline with one of our teams, let's say we lose possession and we're just about to go into transition, then one word from the touchline, shape, paints a picture, because in training we talk about shape being in transition. When we lose the ball, getting everybody goal side, getting pressure on the ball, locking in, but you haven't got time to say all that. So shape. And now we encourage the players to if someone doesn't talk a lot and it's not natural to them, that might be my one instruction to them for the game. In this game, whenever we lose possession, I want you to say shape. Every time we win the ball, we go on the attack, I want you to say come up marking. Or come up. They'll know what it's about, So we try to get the messages into the players through a common language. I don't like people that use jargon. I don't like people, I call the goal the cage or the net, or I call it I want it to be, net's a bad example, it's a good term, it is the net. But I don't want jargon. I don't want people talking about the bowling alley as a wing. What is that? I've never heard it, And we have to have a fairly common language that will go across all our age groups, because our players play across. They may play a year up, a year down, and they have to, not learn a new language because they've joined another age group. It must be common language. I think also we work on. I did a coaching session with 9-year-olds, which are notoriously hard to work with. They are like juggling soot. So I told them, as we started, I told them I wasn't going to talk to them all night. I would blow a whistle, then they needed to look at me and I would mime what I wanted them to do. So I'd blow the whistle and I'd just go, look, and then it would be, I'd point at my feet and I'd show them something. And then I'd just simply go, come on then. And it really, really worked. And I did it to demonstrate to my coaches the power of your body language. So I'm communicating with language. I'm communicating every time I pass a ball to someone, providing I meant it. If I pass it to your left foot, I'm telling you that someone's on your right foot. Or I pass you the ball and I say turn, or man on, or if you want, which tells the player he can pass it back to me or he can keep it. I'm just available. So we work a lot on that without making a big effort on it. We don't say, tonight we're going to work on communication. We just say, in our practices, in our drills, make sure it's realistic and make sure the players don't get into this habit of training the practice rather than the game. So again, it's about coaching footballers rather than football. We want them to react every time they touch a ball, every time they move. If they're doing something repetition 10 times, I want it to be live and real every time, and not just the drill that they're going through. So they don't talk because they don't need to.
It's very interesting. A lot of information to soak up here, because over here in the US, you said those simple phrases, like saying a simple phrase that you can use, and like, for example, for like, I was always quiet. And I think what you mentioned, if I had a phrase and if I was afraid to speak up and you said phase or whatever the words was, and that meant, okay, I needed to be on the left side here where no one was watching me, then I knew. But then some coaches would yell in the game and say, hey, you need to be in the game on the sideline, and they give me like a whole paragraph in mid-game. And that word phase, you're like, I know.
Well, we would, the word I used was shape. So
shape.
If you think during the week, we would work on a team of, we've just lost possession, and then we would stop the game, stop, stand still, look at where we are. This is brilliant. This is the shape we need.
Yeah.
So when that happens in the game, when that trigger, we've lost the ball, and someone says to you, shake, you check, am I in the right place? It's
Mm.
much better than, to me, that sounds more like the coach. It's more about the coach than it is about the players. I
Yeah.
don't like the coach to say, win me a free kick, win me a corner. You've got to work hard for me. No, it's not about them at all, you know, and it's certainly not going to be conducive to a player's learning, because I
Yeah.
see in over the years, I've seen an awful lot of coaching. I've not seen as much learning. And I think that's how I judge a coach. When I look at their session, I'm looking, have the players learn? And they won't all learn at the same level. I understand that. But can I see learning? If I can't, then I start to look deeper and I think, is this about the coach? The coach is making his practice work
Yeah.
or his game win rather than the players learning how to do that.
Yeah. So you mentioned about looking for coaches. Like, I still want to stay on the topic of communication, but now that we jumped onto that, so if I'm a new parent and the method you say, learning, I see a coach, and if my player is learning, should a parent look into that? Like, if I'm a parent and I know nothing about soccer and what you just mentioned, should I look for a coach that is getting the best out of their players and continuing to learn so that I can know, okay, I can actually trust this coach?
Yes, that is, you've hit the nail on the head with the word trust. Um, I get parents that say to me, and it's too easy for them to do this. Oh, you know, I wish you was taking my boy every week. He trusts you. What they don't realise is the power of that word trust. Or
Yeah.
if I say to a parent, look, I'm going to play him in such and such a position because I think his attributes are better at that. I
Mm.
want to hear the parents say, okay, we trust you. You know, you're the expert. No problem. It's
Yeah.
the ones that want to argue about it. They're not in it for their son again or their daughter. They're in it for um, them. They're playing their football through that child. I mean,
Yeah.
again, there's I'm embarrassed to say I can't remember his name, but there's a great American uh, football coach, American football, who says, you know, he takes his son to the game, and his son says, "Oh, the coach told me to do so and so. Will you do it?" Well, you know, never mind about me. He's won the Super Bowl, this fellow. It's never mind about me. He's your coach. You do. Unless he disrespects you, I'm not getting involved. He's your coach. Show him respect. Trust him. And I'm thinking that's for me, that's what it is about. You know, you have to build and earn trust, but that's the ultimate goal.
Super powerful right there. So now another part of communication is vulnerability, being able to express your feelings. And as a society, I don't want to blame coaches, parents, but let's just say everyone, some more than others, for some reason, and especially for young people, like if we go up to a coach or a parent and we tell them, hey, I'm not feeling great about this game, or they're just being bothered by something. Maybe they don't like the coach's playing style. Maybe they don't like the parent that, because I've seen some parents scream at their kids across the field, and now every single parent on the stands is turning around them, and it just hurts the child. How can a player get over the fear of judgment so that they can get comfortable with telling the truth to coaches and their parents so they're all on the same page?
Well, you've covered a lot of ground there.
Yeah.
um, I think I'll try and break that down. I think number one, the coach should create a fun learning environment. And I
Okay.
don't care. I mean, I've worked from nines to first team. I've managed and coached at first team level. I I currently work with 23-year-olds, 18-year-olds, all the way down. There still has to be a fun element to what you're doing. It's football.
Yeah.
It's an enjoyable game, and it is a game. Um, so so I think you have to create an environment, a genuine environment, where people feel it's okay to say something, not snap back at you, not
Yeah.
have their opinion at the wrong time. Again, it's this respectfulness, but I've got a lot of respect if someone comes and knocks on my door and says, "Can we have a couple of moments?" And I say, "Is it important?" They say, "I'm not happy." I say, "Come in and sit down. No matter what, come on, what's wrong? Tell me." And it may be that they've got the wrong end of the stick. It may be that I've said or done something, or someone's said and done something that is wrong. And I
Yeah.
think you have to then be honest and professional. A big learning curve for me over the years is, if you can imagine how long I've been working.
Yeah.
We didn't have the video analysis that we've got now.
Yep.
And as that crept into the game, VHS style, I used to say to players, listen, I'm going to look at the video of the game tomorrow, Sunday, maybe, and at our meeting on Monday or Tuesday, I want us to talk about that goal that we conceded, that problem that we had. So I'd like you to do the same, because I've walked into a changing room before now and blamed someone for doing something wrong, and it wasn't them. So when you look at the video, then you get conflict, or you get people sulking, or you get, I don't like him, but if you can do that, and you can actually say to someone, I've looked at the video, and you know what, I was going to blame you, but I'm not now, because I've seen it was so-and-so, or it was my tactic. You were exactly where you should be, so I got it wrong. And I think people will give you more respect for that. They'll trust you when you say to them, you did wrong there, and I'm only telling you this so you don't do it again. I've highlighted a video in a situation where someone was marking a corner, they were marking a near post, the ball went over their head, so they just went walkabout. And then when the ball come back in, we conceded a goal where this fella could have been standing with his eyes shut and stopped it.
Yeah.
And it was glaringly obvious. And so that paints much bigger picture. We sit in the meeting Tuesday morning, professional level, I normally do it Tuesday morning, go over the game, and I say, what you got to tell me? And they go, oh, I left my post. Great, okay. You won't do it again, will you? I hope not. No, great answer. Not no, I won't. I hope not.
Yeah.
Now that's where you have to. I think you have to show your vulnerability to encourage other players that that's okay. Now, the beginning part of your question was about the parents and how players can overcome that. That is the most difficult thing.
Yeah.
Because I've got players that are ex-professionals and don't say boo. They know that they've been through it. They have been players. They give you their son. They either trust you or they take him somewhere else. And I've got players that I had when they were 18 bringing me their sons now. That's how old I am.
Yeah.
And they bring them and want me to coach them. I've got managers that I've worked for that bring me their sons. They want them to be. Now that's, to me, is powerful, and that is a huge trust that I can't let them down on.
Yeah.
But then equally, I've got parents that I've had to say, if you don't stop it, I'm going to have to ban you from coming to watch your son, which is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. If you don't trust us, take him away, but don't tell him something during the game different to what we've said, or get involved with a referee or an opponent or somebody else. It tells him it's okay to do that, and it's not okay to do that.
Yeah.
Now, where we have and where I have the seniority, if you like, to do this, I have been known at youngsters' games to call the referee and ask him to stop it. So he stops it, thinking, what the hell's going on? Is there an emergency? And I've just walked onto the pitch, because we have the parents are opposite side to us, walked right the way across to within a comfortable distance that I didn't have to shout, and just said, I've heard enough. If you don't behave, I'm going to play these games behind closed doors. And I've walked back to a round of applause from the good parents. So you hope that sends out a message. It's embarrassed someone, hopefully, but it doesn't. It doesn't always, and that's where the $16 million question, whatever it is. If I knew how to do that, we spend a lot of time on educating parents. We talk about what conversations they should have in the car on the way home.
Yes.
And then we talk to the player, and the player tells us a different story. Oh, my dad didn't speak to me because I missed a penalty, I scored an own goal, or he said, that's it, I'm never gonna buy you so and so, or new boots, you can't play football. Absolutely awful.
Yeah.
And so we're working with the player, and we're working with the good parents. We're working with coaches to encourage them to use the right language and the right terms. but if you've got a rogue parent, it is very, very difficult.
Wow.
Very difficult.
It is.
But we'll never stop trying to change them.
Yeah, because I have a story. Like there was this time, and this player over